Let's start with a simple question. You know your disability rating, but do you know the exact dollar amount that rating pays you each month? The rating itself isn't a dollar amount. It points you to one specific line in a federal pay table, and the figure on that line is what gets deposited into your account each month. That figure is what we're going to work out, so here's what we'll do together. I'll show you how your rating becomes a monthly dollar amount, how that amount gets adjusted each year, and where the table holds extra money for a spouse or kids once you're rated 30% or higher. By the time we're done, you'll be able to look up your own rate and know whether you're collecting everything you're entitled to. This is the Veteran Field Manual, Plain English VA Benefits by the Rules. If that's what you're after, subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. Now let's turn your rating into the actual dollar figure behind it. Start with the core idea, because everything else hangs off it. Every veteran with the same rating and the same family situation is paid exactly the same amount. There's no negotiating it, and there are no special deals. The number is fixed in federal law, printed in a table that anybody can pull up and read for themselves. So, a 70% rating doesn't mean you get 70% of some salary. It's a natural way to read it, and it's wrong. What it actually means is that you go to one specific row in one specific table, and the dollar figure sitting in that row is yours. The whole job is just finding the right row. The table splits into 3 zones, and we'll work through all 3 from the bottom up. The lowest zone pays no money at all, but it still has real value, so we'll start there. Zone 1 is 0%. It pays no monthly compensation, but it isn't a denial. A 0% rating means the VA has officially agreed that your condition is connected to your service. One note on the figures. Every dollar amount in this video is the 2026 rate effective December 1st, 2025, so confirm your own current number at VA.gov. That service connection is valuable on its own. If the condition gets worse later, you won't have to prove all over again that it's connected to your service. You'll only have to show that it got worse, which is a much smaller burden. And depending on your priority group, a 0% rating can also qualify you for VA healthcare for that specific condition. Zone 2 is 10 and 20%. At this level, the table is a single flat rate with no columns. In 2026, a 10% rating pays $180.42 a month, and 20% pays $356.66. That's the entire rate at this level. In this zone, your family size changes nothing at all. A married veteran with 5 kids at 20% draws the exact same check as a single veteran at 20%. Dependents don't add a single dollar until you cross into the next zone. Zone 3 starts at 30% and runs all the way up to 100. The basic rate keeps climbing with every step, but now the table grows columns too, and each column stands for a different family situation. Same rating, different household, different check. That rule is Title 38, Section 1115. Once you're rated 30% or higher, you're entitled to additional compensation for your dependents. 30% is a hard floor written into the law. At 20%, you get nothing extra for your family. At 30%, that additional compensation begins. 3 kinds of dependents count, so let's be precise about each one. First, children. Biological, adopted, and stepchildren all count while they're under 18. They keep counting from 18 up to 23, as long as they're unmarried and enrolled in an approved school program. Every child you add raises your monthly amount. Second, your dependent parents. If a parent genuinely relies on you for their financial support, the VA can add them to your award too, and each qualifying parent raises the monthly figure. It's an add-on that's easy to overlook, but it's right there in the law. Third, your spouse. Beyond the normal spouse rate, there's an extra provision that applies in a narrower situation. If your spouse needs the regular aid of another person because of disability, blindness, or nursing home care, the law adds a separate amount on top of the spouse rate. This is the spouse's aid and attendance add-on, and it's separate from your own aid and attendance. Most spouses won't qualify for it, but it's worth knowing it exists. At 30%, a single veteran gets $552 $617.47 a month. Add a spouse, and it climbs to $617.47. Same exact rating, $65 more every month, just for putting the spouse you already have on record. These add-ons grow as your rating rises. At 100%, for example, each additional school-age child adds $352.45 a month. Because you have to file for these before they're added to your check, they're easy to miss. These numbers change from year to year because of the cost of living adjustment. Each year, Congress passes a bill that raises VA compensation by the same percentage as Social Security. You don't file anything for it. The raise just shows up in your payment. And despite what you may have read, for disability compensation, it isn't automatic. Congress has to pass that bill every single year. The increase takes effect on December 1st and appears in your January payment. Over a long period on the rolls, these annual increases compound, so the total grows substantially. It also means any figure you learned a few years ago is probably too low now. Check the current rate rather than relying on an older number. Here's how to read the official table yourself. Go to VA.gov, then Disability, then Compensation Rates. Find the row that matches your family situation. Then find the column that matches your combined rating. Where that row and that column meet is your basic monthly rate. One more step, if it applies to you. If you have more than one child, or your spouse gets aid in attendance, find the added amounts table just below the main grid and add those figures to your basic rate. The total is your full monthly gross. When I looked into where these numbers come from, the answer surprised me. You'd assume the dollar figure behind each percentage was calculated from what veterans with that disability actually lose in income. It wasn't. By law, your percentage is the VA's estimate of how much your condition reduces your ability to earn a living averaged across all veterans with that condition. 100% means a total loss. That idea dates to 1917, and it's based on the average, not on your own situation. That's why a veteran who recovers and earns a good living doesn't have the compensation reduced. So where did the numbers come from? Congress's watchdog, the Government Accountability Office, found the ratings still rest mostly on judgments doctors and lawyers made in 1945 about how injuries would affect manual labor jobs. The same office found something more. The actual loss in earnings was never used to set the ratings in the first place. A study in the 1960s and a major National Academies review in 2007 both found the schedule had never been validated against what veterans actually lose. It was built on expert opinion, not measured data. And there's the dollar figure on each percentage. Congress sets those amounts in the statute and adjusts them each year. They don't rise in a straight line with the rating. 100% pays far more than 10 times what 10% pays, even though it's only 10 times the number. On the curve's shape, I have to be honest about a limit. We can see it bending steeply upward near the top, but I found no public record explaining why Congress shaped it that way. The likely explanation is that losing all your earning power is a far greater loss than a partial one. But that's my reasoning, not a documented one. So treat the shape as fact and the why as an open question. The most important feature of the table is that the pay doesn't increase in a straight line. As the rating rises, the dollar gap between each step grows. The gaps are small at the bottom and much larger near the top. From 10 to 20%, the jump is about $176 a month. But the jump from 90 to 100 is over $1,570 a month. Same 10-point step on paper and almost 9 times the money. The entire curve is backloaded toward the top. This is why the increase from 90 to 100% matters so much financially. Raising a 90% rating to 100, sometimes by claiming a secondary condition, can be worth more than several lower ratings combined. And if you can't work because of your service-connected conditions, a path called TDIU pays at the 100% rate without a 100% scheduler rating. Each of those topics has its own chapter. Let's put the whole method together with one real example, using the VA's own numbers. Say you're rated 70% and you've got a spouse and 3 kids, all of them under 18. Step 1 is the basic rate. A 70% veteran with a spouse and one child comes in at $2,074.45. Step 2 is the extra kids. Your basic rate already accounted for one child, so you add for the other two. At 70%, each additional child under 18 adds $76. Two more children, that's $152 on top. Add it together, and you're now at $2,226.45 a month. That's the full calculation, $2,226.45 a month, all at the same 70% rating. The rating set the starting point, and the dependents filled in the rest. If your spouse also needed aid and attendance, you'd add that amount here as well, but that applies to far fewer households. Now, a field note, reaching 30% doesn't add your dependents automatically. The VA won't add them on its own. You have to notify them. You file Form 21-686C to add a spouse or a child, and Form 21-674 for a child who's 18 to 23 and enrolled in school. The timing matters here. The add-on starts on the day the VA receives your form, not on the day you got married or the day your child was born. There's no automatic back pay to the date of the life event. Every month you delay filing is add-on money you won't get back, so file as soon as your family changes. This works in the other direction as well. If your family situation changes through a divorce or a child aging out, you have to report that just as promptly. If you keep receiving an add-on you're no longer entitled to, the VA will later recover it as an overpayment debt. Report the change promptly to keep your record accurate. One more point, specific to school-age children. The 18 to 23 add-on isn't permanent on its own. The school enrollment has to be certified and then recertified using that same 21-674 form. If the certification lapses, the payment for that child can stop. Keep it current each term. A few facts about the payment itself. It's completely tax-free at both the federal and the state level. It's paid by direct deposit on the first business day of each month. And it's yours regardless of your other income. You can hold a full-time job or draw a pension, and this compensation continues. If you're still drilling in the Guard or Reserve, there's one rule to know. You can't collect VA compensation and military pay for the same day. Your monthly compensation is reduced by the number of days you waive to receive drill or training pay. This isn't a penalty, it's the rule against being paid twice for the same day. We cover the Guard and Reserve details in their own chapter. One last point, the base table isn't the maximum. If you've lost the use of certain body parts, you may qualify for special monthly compensation, Level K. It's a flat add-on that sits on top of your basic rate, and it can apply even if your rating is below 30%. You can receive up to 3 of these awards at once. The full special monthly compensation topic has its own chapter. It's worth knowing that your rating reaches beyond this payment. The same percentage also affects other benefits, like your priority for VA healthcare, your copays, vocational rehabilitation eligibility, and for military retirees, whether you can draw retired pay and compensation at the same time. Those are separate systems with their own rules, and each gets its own chapter. Here, we're focused on the cash payment itself. 3 things to take away. First, your rating points to a single line in the federal pay table. To find it at VA.gov, match the row to your family situation and the column to your rating. Second, at 30% or higher, dependents add to your monthly amount, but you have to file for them, and the increase starts the day the VA receives your form. Third, the pay rises faster near the top, so each step in the higher ratings is worth far more than a step at the bottom. If this made the numbers clearer for you, share it with another veteran who may be missing add-ons they're entitled to, or who's never had this explained plainly. To get the next chapter when it's published, subscribe and leave your question in the comments. Your question is often the same one another veteran is searching for, so asking it helps them find this too. You earned every dollar in that table, so make sure you're receiving all of it. If you're not sure how your rating was set in the first place, watch the VA math video next. It covers the step that comes right before this one. This is the Veteran Field Manual. Stay in the fight.